Welcome back everyone. Today we're going to be working on the Forester. Again, of course, we haven't finished our project, but we're going to be doing something that we actually did on the STI like 3 years ago at this point. We're going to be redoing the headliner because this is the gray headliner on the Forester. Honestly, it's not that good. It's got some stains. As you know, I'm going through the process of blacking out the interior as we did with all those trim pieces. So I thought, might as well do the headliner while we're at it. So we're going to be wrapping this with black fabric, obviously, if we're blacking out a Forester. We're going to be wrapping it with black fake suede, essentially, but I won't show you guys that until we actually get our first stage done because, well, we got to take off the old stuff first. But what we'll be using is just the normal 3M stuff. You want to get the high strength stuff because this stuff actually sticks really well. As I said, we did the STI 3 years ago with super cool space fabric, which I was thinking about doing here, but we couldn't get fabric that's long enough because, well, the wagon's so much taller. So we had to stick with some classic black suede and go ahead and wrap it. But this stuff, as I said, holds extremely well, so that's what we'll be using again, so we can get some really good coverage and make sure that it stays on for years to come. I got 2 bottles because, well, this one's left over from last time, and really, I think it's going to use a little more than the STI. It's a huge piece of fabric, so we're going to be wrapping it for quite some time. And then the only other thing you need is a flat edge. I'll be using my window squeegee and also actually ID card because, well, it works. Also, it's really nice to get a second person to help you because laying it down, you gotta lay it. I'll go through it once we're wrapping it, but you gotta lay it down so that it's centered first and then slowly kind of squish out the glue. This glue, make sure you do it in an open environment. I got both the garage doors open because it's really bad for you. But other than that, yeah, the first thing is going ahead, pulling off your old stuff. It might be hard depending on how old your fabric is. As you can tell here, it's not that hard for me because, well, this is a 2004 Forester, so this fabric isn't stuck on real well. Also, it's kind of bubbling here. And all you do is slowly peel it back, making sure not to wreck the foam underneath. Honestly, you're not going to, especially if you're doing it on an older car because, well, it's not stuck on very well. So just go ahead and do this all the way down the headliner. It only took 10 minutes and we're halfway there. One thing I'm noticing that I've never seen on the STI was, look at the fabric. Or not the fabric, but the actual material. Every time I touch it, it leaves a mark. So we'll give it a good clean, probably with some Fantastic just to get the oils off. But we're gonna take another 10 minutes and get the rest of this off, and then we'll be good to cover it up, and I'll show you guys the actual fabric we're putting on. And there we go. So we have the whole thing under or unwrapped, and it's all right. It's doing some, I don't know if you guys, yeah, you can see just a little bit here, like those lines and stuff. I gave it a wipe. It's a different material than the STI used, so it's more of like a porous foamy. So if we look, you can see little fingerprints there, and I wiped that spot and some over in that corner, but it's not going to affect it. That glue is super strong, so I just wiped it down with some Fantastic, just to get any particles off, and it did make some marks, as I was just saying, but yeah, that's the whole fabric with our whole headliner without the fabric. So let's go ahead and put the fabric on it and then see how it will lay down. And there's the fabric laid on top. So as you can see, it's pretty much the classic fake suede that everyone puts on their Subarus, and actually it's the same stuff we used in the STI, so I'm pretty comfortable with using it. It's just the stuff on the STI was white and then it was dyed on top of. There is a couple little creases here, but they can be pulled out pretty easily. I might also just take an iron before we go ahead and lay it down and smoothen that out, but I know we did leave some creases in the STI, and just leaving it outside honestly will remove them, because what you do is you stretch it pretty good. Now if we look over here where the main part of the headliner has all those little bumps for your sun visors and your center console and all that, it looks like it's not going to fit. It did this with the STI too, and actually you just got to be very careful of how you lay it. So we're going to only lay about this much glue and then paste it on, and as I said, work from the center. So this is going to be our crease we work from. We're going to press it in this crease, get it stuck, and then work along this line right here, and then press it in here. It is a little bit of a time-consuming process, but it looks really good after, and it's actually honestly not that hard. We did really good on the STI, so I think we're going to do really good with this too. And we're actually starting from this side. he also shown up so he can help us. But we're gonna start from here now because that side is the most complicated side ever, just because there's so many little divots and stuff I showed you. So we're gonna start here. We're gonna do a whole foot, and I'll actually run you through this first process. And then we'll time lapse this whole thing because this is gonna be a while of just spraying, doing the same thing over and over and over. But yeah, so we're gonna do actually probably more than a foot here. Spray it. You gotta let the stuff wait for 1 minute, and then you can lay it on top. Start from the center, kind of like squeegee, like you'd be doing tint, and then work your way out. And then I'll show you guys what we're doing here later. Really, you just lay it down like normal, and then you'll cut it out and just spray a little bit on the edge from the other side and press it over so that you get a good edge and it won't end up peeling when you put your plastic back in. So let's go ahead and start wrapping. Spray here. So really all we want to do is make sure that we cover this whole thing with this 3M and let it sit for 1 minute before we go ahead and lay it on top. So let's go ahead and spray this on. Ooh, this stuff's so sketchy. No, it doesn't. It's just a really bad version of silly string. Okay, I think we're good? Yeah, okay. The edges I usually hit after anyways. And now since we got it on, we set a timer for 1 minute. One of like 20 done. Adrian did really well, look at that. Mine had a little more of an issue just because this is so rounded, but I forgot you can stretch this fabric, so I put some relief cuts in and then just went ahead and stretch it. Here there's a hole, there's also 3 holes there, but what we can do is we can go, as you can see this is loose here, we can spray glue from the underside and then go ahead and stretch it over, and then it will keep its shape, but it follows the corner pretty nicely. So now we got this big section, which is going to be really easy compared to this stupid little bump here. As usual, it rained again, so I took a little break and now we're back on the headliner itself. I can't leave all the doors open because, well, it's really cold out now, so I'm wearing the respirator because this stuff is not good for you. But now the big thing is really we're going to be working on the edges, because those weren't really a concern right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull them up, spray a little bit, and then go ahead and cut off the excess. I'll probably keep the excess because there might be stuff I want to paint, or not paint, wow, wrap with this. So what we'll do is we'll just cut it off right at the edge so we have about 6 inches of extra. This process is pretty relatively straightforward and the same kind of as the rest of it, where we just kind of spray it down, lay it over top with a card, and repeat for about half an hour. It only took a couple hours, But we are done. Look at that. It's all done. So it definitely was a little more challenging, especially just being such a big piece of fabric we had to lay down. And also the black fabric actually shows every little mistake, where the very Galaxy headliner we have in the STI doesn't really do that. So that's kind of a big issue, but I mean, honestly, it's gonna be on the roof of a tinted car with black interior. You're not gonna see it too much. You notice a little spot there, like that's a little bad there. There's a couple little bumps. If we look straight down here, we can see a bump, but a lot of these we'll have our trim pieces in like here, and we'll have a trim piece in up there, and we'll have trim pieces in up over there too. So there is some room for error, just who knows how much. I did have to make some relief cuts here, and same on the side here, and then I think I made one more relief cut here. Other than that, it went pretty well. It was a lot of cutting and gluing and cutting and gluing, but we got all the edges now down. So that is pretty much the rest of the headliner. So we're just gonna go over it, take a little look, and then finish off. So some tips for you guys. I forgot to do it on this one when me and Adrian were doing it, but usually you want to actually spray the back of your fabric and the headliner. That way when you lay it down, make sure you have glue on everything. So that's one of the big things. Get a good razor blade to cut around your little holes and stuff. That's really easy to miss. And then also take your time, and don't worry, it's not going to be perfect, because I don't even think upholstery people can get it 100% perfect, but you're the only one who knows where the problems are, and as I said, it's on the roof. No one's gonna really closely examine your roof. I know there's issues on the STI. I had to go back and watch that video, and I was like, oh, I did mess up quite a bit on there, but it's still gonna look super cool in the Forester. But we won't be installing this today in the Forester, because we gotta do a couple things before we go ahead and do that. So if you guys wanna see that and all the other stuff we're doing in the Forester, as well as putting in the black trim, make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss it. That's all. As always, peace out and stay humble.